Are you surprised with how Nick Saban's handled this whole quarterback situation?
I'm surprised it worked out because I don't think Saban really went into it other than to try to keep Jalen Hurts on that team, which he succeeded. But Tua was so much better that I think Jalen Hurts, who we all know was a really good quarterback, had to concede that I'm not the best quarterback on this team. I'm still really good. So I think it's gone well compared to what happened last week at Clemson. Nick Saban got away with this.
My question, listening to Tua speak there, is this: do you believe Jalen Hurts should have stayed, or should he have looked to have transferred like Kelly Bryant did out of Clemson? Or is looking to out of Clemson?
I think he looked. I've heard conflicting stories that he was on the verge of it, and some people whispered, listen, you still have another year. And the difference, as you all know, Jalen graduates in December. He can then go where Kelly was out of time. If he played another game, and they would have used him quite well last week, then his eligibility was going to be exhausted. So I think Jalen just said, you know what, I'm on the Alabama Crimson Tide. They're the best team in the country. I'm still playing a lot. I'm going to gut this out. I still feel, and I think every reasonable person feels, that he's leaving in December or January, whenever the season ends.
Everyone knows that Tagovailoa's talent is obvious, right? But how much do you think it helps him eventually in the draft that he carries himself that way? He seemed to me to be a young franchise quarterback, the way he answered the question.
Yeah, no, he's been spectacular, and I just think he's developed into this, and I think he learned last year too. And give Jalen Hurts credit. And until his father went off, there were no problems with Jalen Hurts. And then Jalen Hurts had one thing to say before the season in frustration. But other than that, he's been exemplary, too.
By the way, can I just say one thing? I laughed at Max there. I wasn't laughing at you. I had our producer, Brian, in here saying it's going to be our new Giants quarterback. Thanks, Brian, for that.
Let me ask you this.
See where I'm going with this?
Ohio State came back from a 26-14 deficit, beat Penn State. Is that more about this team that is the Ohio State, or is that more about Penn State and we thought they were something that they are not?
I think it's a little bit of both, but Penn State, Stephen A., should have blown them out in the first half.
Yeah.
They left points on the board. And what Ohio State did late in the game was really turn junk plays into big plays because the Penn State defense was gassed. And in the end, James Franklin won the award for the single worst play call of the year with that 4th and 5. It made no sense, and he got what he deserved. But I still believe that we saw glimpses of how good Ohio State can be. I've been very high on them. I've had people that have been around that program believe that this is one of Urban Meyer's best teams, and I think you've seen the matriculation of Haskins as a really good quarterback.
It seems to me that last year, I mean, it's early still, the NFL wasn't that good, and college football was amazing. This year, college football is good, but not like it was last year quite, and the NFL has been amazing.
I agree.
What do you think the difference is really here?
Well, I think you could argue that Alabama, on one level, is sucking some of the oxygen out of the sport. I mean, they are just so good that unless you're a diehard Alabama fan or you take Alabama plus or minus 35, what's the purpose? I mean, even the stands are empty in Alabama. The diehards who would never miss a game, they're walking out because there's no buzz. This week, they're going to play a noon game in Fayetteville, Arkansas, on the road, SEC team. They're a 35-point favorite. I've covered this league for 35 years. I've never seen that before.
But I would think fans would want to be there for that.
No, I wouldn't.
There's no competition. It's an exhibition. It's an exhibition.
But if you're the winning, right? If
Alabama fans have gotten to the point now where they complain about the kicker. He comes in, they're leading 56-0, and he misses a chip shot field goal. And there's nothing else to talk about.
You mean after Nick Saban complains?
Well, yeah.
I mean, because we all know he's going to find something to complain about because he wants to guard against complacency.
But his kicker last year almost cost him a national championship.
But listen, well, tell me this.
Okay.
Who do you think would give Nick Saban and Alabama Crimson Tide a game?
I think I would rank them Ohio State, Georgia. Georgia's not there yet. Georgia has been pretty underwhelming. Clemson, I'm pushing them way to the back of the contenders. Notre Dame, probably would be in the next echelon. But right now, I would take Ohio State.
So who is on upset alert this weekend?
Well, I think Notre Dame probably is to a degree. They're playing at Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech bounced back from that Old Dominion loss quite well. They won at Duke. I think that would be the game I'd keep my eye on.
Notre Dame was pretty good last week.
You're just not concerned about Alabama at all at LSU?
Here's why I'm not into that yet. LSU this weekend is at Gainesville against a dangerous Florida team. They're not great, but they're dangerous. And then next week they have Georgia at home. So I really need to see LSU. I mean, and I know LSU has beaten Miami and they've gone to Auburn, but I want to see how if this continues.
Got 2 questions for you. 1, Tua is winning the Heisman. Anyone getting in his way?
Right now, no. I think Haskins would be sitting next to him in New York, but only there to congratulate him.
Okay. And if you were a betting man, your Final Four right now?
Well, I'd probably go Alabama, Ohio State. I would put Notre Dame in there right now.
I was getting ready to ask you about Notre Dame.
Yeah, I really like
that. Are they legit?
And then probably you're kind of debating between Oklahoma. I mean, I think Georgia could get. Georgia's not guaranteed as a number 2 in the SEC because of there's a couple of other competitors. And if Clemson runs the table, it's hard to keep them out.
You've got to like that Clemson defense up front.
Yeah, but I do like Oklahoma a lot. They have a fairly big game this week.
Speaking of which, I keep harping on this, but the NFL has changed because the rules now make coaches believe, hey, maybe that Big 12 stuff works, right? In the end, and we see it. Those are the most exciting players and everything. How long is Lincoln Riley for college football? I mean, isn't he eventually someone? Will brought up earlier today, maybe the Cowboys. Isn't someone going to come after this guy?
Yes.
They're stealing all his concepts.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now he would be the number 1 guy you'd go after.